Hello students, today we'll study a very interesting chapter from your class 12 syllabus, that is Evans Streisand O-Level. It is written by Colin Dexter. It is a very interesting chapter, so listen to it very carefully. In this particular video, we'll be doing the introduction, the detailed explanation of the chapter, the character sketch, and the important questions. Now, coming to the introduction of the chapter, Evans Streisand O-Level is an engrossing story where the author Colin Dexter arouses the reader's curiosity and sustains it throughout the narration. The entire story is a battle of wits between the criminal and the prison authorities. Despite the best efforts of the officials, the criminal outwits them and has a last laugh. Being good at predicting the moves of his rivals and being well connected with his intelligent and manipulative friends, Evans, the criminal in this particular story, is able to escape from right under the nose of the prison authorities without having to break a single lock. As the action moves on, we, the readers, are in awe of Evans as he eventually slips out of their hands, making them admit sheepishly that they were good for a giggle gullible officer. Now the story begins with a phone call. The governor of the Oxford prison contacts the secretary of the examination board in early March because there was a prisoner by the name Evans who wants to appear for a German O-level exam which was to be held on June 8th. Now, what is an O-level? Actually, like in India, we have different classes of exams. So, in a O-level exam is a very basic course. After that, it's an O-level, then A-level, then B-level, then C-level. So, it's a very basic course. So, he wanted to do some certification. Now, his secretary agrees to make arrangement, and he says that for an invigilator, we will have a parson. A parson is actually a priest from St. Mary's Mag, which was a church, who is going to be act as an invigilator. He promises to send relevant papers through him. Now he asks him what sort of a person was Evans. So the governor gives a very good feedback about Evans, that he was a star at a Christmas concert. He was very good at imitating. He was not a very dangerous sort of a criminal, and he was just a congenital kleptomaniac. Now, what is a kleptomaniac? Kleptomaniac is a person who has the habit of stealing. It is in that person's genes, so they don't know when they are stealing. So that was his problem, and that is why he was in the prison. He did not tell him that Evans was actually a jailbreaker, and thrice he has escaped from the prison. Now, coming to the story, who is Evans? Now, James Roderick Evans is a quiet but an intelligent man. He is popularly known as Evans the Brave because he has escaped from the prison thrice on earlier occasions. Now he is lodged in the Oxford prison. He started attending night classes at O-level German in previous September in the prison premises as well. He is a lone candidate. He doesn't mix much with people. The tutor wishes him good luck one day before the exam on June 7th. Now, Ivan comments, I might surprise everybody. Now, this question has been asked a couple of times in boards where what does this statement mean? Now, it has two meanings. I might surprise everybody means people might be expecting me to fail and I might surprise them with my result. And secondly, he might just escape from the prison and surprise everybody. So that's why it has two meanings. Now, what is the early morning scene of the day of the paper? At 8:30 a.m., two prison officers, Jackson and a new recruit, Stephen, visit Evans. Jackson knows Evans very well. He is very well aware of his innovative skills and jocularly calls him our little Einstein. Just like Einstein was so intelligent, he considers him quite intelligent as well. Now, with the passage of time, both have become warm enemies. Jackson instructs Stephen to take away everything that may help Evans injure himself for the instructor. Evans at the time was shaving, and he was wearing a red and white colored bobble hat. So Jackson asks him to take off that red and white bobble hat. Evans knows that Jackson is a very sensitive sort of a person. He says that nothing good has ever happened to me in my life. So this bobble hat is my lucky charm. Please let me wear it. So, and he was very annoyed that Jackson has taken away his scissors and his nail filer. So he quickly tells him to just shave off, so I'm going to take your razor as well. So all the sharp instruments were taken away from Evans because people in the prison, the higher officials, believed that today was the day that Evans might try to escape from the prison again. So they wanted to remove all the sharp obstacles because they believed that he might injure any particular person, the priest or whoever the invigilator, and try to run away, flee away from the prison. Now, what were the arrangements? There were few arrangements which were made for the exam. Two chairs and a table are arranged. The cell was bugged. That means a microphone was placed, and so that the governor could listen to each and every conversation which was taking place inside the. Now, this is the person McCleary who is the invigilator. Reverend S. McCleary makes his entry in the prison premises. He is thoroughly searched and escorted to Evans' cell. At 9:10 a.m., the governor switches on the receiver because the exam was scheduled from 9:15 to 11:15 a.m. That means it was a 2-hour paper from 9:15 to 11:15. Now, the moment McCleary entered the Evans prison, Governor got apprehensive. He calls to search McCleary once again. He says, just search him once again. Now, the suitcase that McCleary had carried, you have to remember what are the articles inside the suitcase. It had a sealed question paper envelope. It had a yellow invigilation form, a special authentication card from the examination board, that was his I-card, a paper knife to cut the question paper, a Bible, a current copy of the Church Times, and a small semi-inflated rubber ring. Now, what is a rubber ring? Actually, have you seen people going for swimming? So they have a rubber tube sort of a thing. So they found it very strange. So the presence of semi-inflated rubber ring surprises them. But McCleary says that he is suffering from piles, he's from hemophilia. So it helps him sitting in a particular position. He'll keep it on the chair, and after that he's going to sit on the chair. He's not able to sit on the chair, so that's why he's using the rubber. So he tries to convince them. So they allow him to keep the rubber. Now exam, because of the searching, is a little delayed. Now it was supposed to be taking place from 9:25 a.m. to 11:25 a.m. McCleary orders Evans to write down the paper's name, just like you have your question paper code, your paper code, your center code, etc. So he says the paper's name is 021/1, index number is 313, center number is 271. Evans then objects to the presence of Stephens in the jail, and hence Stephens leaves. Now, actually, he said that how come I am the only person, one person is writing, and there are two invigilators, one is McCleary and one is Stephens, standing right over my head. How am I supposed to complete my paper? I'll get so conscious. So Stephens leaves. But he is very wary. He decides to look through the glass hole every minute. Now suddenly there was a call that came to the governor at 9:40 a.m. The Assistant Secretary of Modern Languages informs the governor that there was a correction slip that they were going to send because there was some problem in the question paper. There was some error in it. Instead of a word Zum Goldene Loven, it should have been Zum Goldenen Loven, which was on page 3, line 50. So it was a grammatical error. So governor knew a bit of German and said, understood, yes, yeah. Actually, Zum Golden Loven means, in English means the golden lion. So governor was suspicious initially. Did the call actually come from the secretary board, or there is something fishy about it? So he tries to reconfirm by calling up again at the examination department, but the line was continuously engaged. Now, what role did Stephen play in the story? Stephens is alert and keeps on peeping through the peephole. Initially, he was checking on every minute, then after every 2 minutes. He finds everything in order. At 10:50 am, Evans requests that he be allowed to put a blanket around his shoulders as he was feeling cold. Stephens notices the blanket. He's very surprised but satisfied that some cells were quite chilly, so it is okay if he requires a blanket to keep himself warm. Now at 11:22, there was another call that came in. That was 3 minutes before the examination was to be over. Jackson called Stephens, telling him that the governor wants to speak to him. Now the governor instructs him to accompany McCleary personally to the main gate after locking Evans. Don't let McCleary go on his own. You send him personally. So finally, once the exam was over, as they head towards the main gate after the examination is over, Stephens has a vague idea that the invigilator looked a little thinner in appearance. Why was he looking a little thin? But he ignored. He said, probably I have some misconception about it. Probably he was thin only. Now, as he returns after dropping the invigilator at the gate, he went on the D wing to check on Evans. He wanted to go for a cup of coffee. He said, let me check on Evans. What is he doing right now? Now, once he reached the jail, he was very surprised that there was nobody. Evans, he was shocked to find there was a man, probably the parson. Instead of Evans, there was the priest who was sprawled on the chair. His cropped hair was splattered all over with blood, and blood was oozing out from his head. Stephens and Jackson thought it was McCleary who had been hit by Evans and that the latter had made good his escape. They thought that Evans has gone away and probably he has hit McCleary and McCleary was lying on the chair. So they create a lot of ruckus. They informed everybody about some problem. So the wounded man whom everybody thought was McCleary tells the prison authorities not to worry about him and showed them a photocopied sheet that had been superimposed over the last page of the question paper. In German, it was quietly written where he advised Evans. There were few instructions on the sheet. Strictly follow the plan and not to hit the parson too hard. 3 minutes before the exam was very important. Not to overdo the Scots accent while going out of the prison. He tells Detective Superintendent Carter that he knew where Evans had gone and directed him to lead him towards the Elsfield way. The governor was very confused. He ordered Superintendent to take McCleary because he was the only person who knew a little where he must have gone and what has happened behind. They had taken so much of precautions, but still Evans managed to escape, so he was a little nervous. So he said he wanted to go because he alone knew what had really happened. So he asked Superintendent Carter to take McCleary along. Now the governor gets very angry. He takes his officers to task for acting so foolishly. He calls them morons because he had not made any call at 11:22 a.m. At that time, he was trying to get in touch with the examination board on the phone, but could not. He scores Jackson for being negligent on duty. How come so much of clerical paraphernalia came in? Because he must have hit McCleary with some sharp object. That's why blood was overflowing from there. He got very angry with him for not searching the cell thoroughly, as he could not detect any of the stuff. Now, about the real McCleary. Governor got a call from Superintendent Carter that McCleary had seen Evans driving along the Elsfield way. He was given a chase, but they missed him. He told that he left McCleary at Radcliffe Hospital as he was badly injured. Now the governor thought, okay, let me ring up Radcliffe Hospital. But he was surprised to know that there was nobody by the name McCleary over there, and he too had escaped. Now the governor has a brainwave and rushed to the residence of McCleary. He was shocked to see that the real McCleary bound and gagged on his residence in Broad Street. He understood that Evans' accomplice had actually came in as an invigilator. So the real McCleary was bound and gagged and somebody else had come in as McCleary. That is the invigilator. Now since 8:15 he was bound by two people who had come in and who had taken away all his details. It became clear to him that it was Evans who impersonated as McCleary, whom Carter had left at Radcliffe Hospital. So Evans had managed to escape the fourth time. Now he understood that the first person who had actually gone was McCleary only, and the person who was bleeding was Evans. And if they thought he was McCleary, and they dropped Evans at Radcliffe Hospital. Now what happened? Finally, Evans was at the Golden Lion Hotel, the Zump Golden 11, the error which was there. Evans had just finished a delicious fish and chips for lunch. He was a free man now. He used the cutting of his long hair, but considers himself lucky that Jackson had not insisted on taking off his bobble hat. Actually, Evans had long hair and he had cut his hair, and because so that nobody comes to know that he has cut his hair, that's why he was wearing that bobble hat. So that nobody could come to know that he has cut his hair. Now, eventually, he decides to go back to the hotel room. He finds a different receptionist there, gives her necessary instructions before going to his room. He appreciates the duplicate McCleary's plan of wearing double cloth in order to give one to Evans. That is why he was looking thinner, and Stephens had noticed his leanness while dropping him after the exam. Actually, the McCleary which had come in, the invigilator had come in, he was wearing double coat. So one he had given to Evans. Now once he had given to Evans one coat, so obviously that means he was moving out, Stephens found him a little thin. And that is why that 11:22 call was very important, because Evans had changed thoroughly and Stephens was continuously checking in through the peephole. So they wanted Stephens to go away from there at that point of time, so that Stephens could not come to know that for the last minute preparations that this is Evans who is inside the blanket. That's why he was wearing a blanket, so that Stephens could not come to know that he is changing at that point of time. Now, once Evans entered his hotel room, he was shocked by the presence of the governor who had made into the hotel room. Actually, the index number 313 and center number 271 were the coordinates of the Golden Lion Hotel. So he asked him, okay, you came to know through the index number and the center number? He said, yes. Actually, he asked him, why did you not think of it beforehand? He said, actually, Evans admitted that his entire plan was made. But the place where they had to go after escaping from the prison was not complete. So they had to decide. So that was the indication that he was supposed to go to the Golden Lion Hotel. But there were many Golden Lion hotels and this was the exact coordinate. So this is where he had to reach. Evans confesses that the fake McCleary carried pig's blood in the rubber tube to check it from clotting, which are later used to protect injured McCleary. So the rubber ring that McCleary was carrying, he was having pig blood inside. And that pig blood they used to pour on his head so that they don't come to know that it is a real blood or not. So that is what he was carrying in that rubber ring. So he further revealed that the German instructor was also his partner in crime. So the 11:22 call was to keep Stephens away for the last minute preparations, and the blanket was used in order to hide the fact that he was changing his clothes. So the plan they were making right from September. So he was not studying German as such. He was actually making plans to escape from the prison. But you can very imagine how genius this person was. So governor was impressed by Evans' ingenuity. Undoubtedly, his plan was foolproof. Governor tells Evans that his game was over. Evans is brought out of his room. He exchanges eye winking with a girl at the reception, is handcuffed by the prison officer, and the two clambered awkwardly into the back seat of the prison van. So the governor was feeling very smart. He was feeling, wow, see, he was such a smart person, but I outsmarted him at that point of time. The governor tells Evans that they would meet soon, but it appears to be more of a farewell. The moment they are rid of the governor, the so-called prison officer, a friend of Evans, unlocks his handcuffs and asks the driver to move fast. The driver has Scotch accent, signifying that he was a fake McCleary who had come to invigilate. Evans tells the driver to turn to Newbury. Evans thus has the last laugh. So the person with whom the governor sent, the prison officer with whom the governor sent Evans, was actually again the accomplice of Evans, and the moment he reached the van, he opened his handcuffs, and the driver of that van is that same McCleary. He had the same Scottish accent, and Evans is a free person all over again, and he makes fool of the prison officers all over again. Now coming to the character sketch of Evans. He's a very quiet sort of a person. He does not believe in violence. He regularly participates in various functions. He's a congenital kleptomaniac. He has escaped from the jail thrice. He's popularly known as Evans the Break. He's prepared for the German O-level exam. He has a magnetic personality. He has many friends within the prison premises and departments outside the prison. He's capable of winning election of concerned people. He's called the Little Einstein by Jackson. His quick-witted, innovative mind is few steps ahead of the prison authorities entire time. We admire the intelligent manner in which he manages his final escape from the right under the governor's nose. He is indeed a master genius, having potential enough to get over any obstacle in his life. Coming to the character sketch of Governor, he is an officer of very average intelligence. He unfortunately overestimates himself. Rather than bugging the cell, he should have first checked the credentials of the German instructor who is coming to teach Evans. He should have first checked, is he actually the instructor or are they making plans at that point of time to escape? He misunderstands Evans. He's a poor judge of character. Vital matters needing his personal attention, like searching McCleary, checking off Evans' cell, escorting the so-called wounded McCleary, needed the governor's personal attention but were neglected by him. You should have closely examined the wounded man. Is he actually McCleary or is he Evans? They just assume that since he is wounded, he must be McCleary only. And the girl that at the reception that was different was also an accomplice of Evans. That's why he winked at her, because she was also a partner in crime. At critical moments, he fails miserably. He shows streaks of intelligence by correctly locating Evans' hotel. But here too does not accompany Evans to the prison and eventually loses him. He sent him with any persons. He should have checked on, are they actually prison officers? If he would have checked at that point of time, Evans would not have been able to escape at all. In short, his assessment about himself that he is just another good for a giggle gullible governor is 100% correct. Now coming to few important questions. What were the precautions taken for the smooth conduct of the exam? For smooth conduct of exam, various precautions and measures were taken. All sharp instruments like the razor, nail filer, nail scissors were removed. Senior prison officers Jackson and Stephen were put on duty. The governor personally monitored all the proceedings and security arrangements. The special invigilator McCleary too was frisked thoroughly before the beginning of the exam. A microphone was fitted in the prison cell where the examination was to be conducted to keep a strict watch on the activities of the cell during the examination. Next question is, who do you think has outwitted the other, Evans or the governor? How? Eventually, it was obviously Vance who outwitted the governor. This was because he was able to escape again in the van with his accomplices posing as policemen, even after being caught by the governor at the hotel. So, his sharp and witty mind, he escaped right under the governor's nose. He succeeded in fooling the jail officials from the beginning to the end and has the last laugh at every turn in the story. The governor had handed it over to the prison officer, whom he had never seen earlier, and Evans made full use of the governor's gullibility and in the end escaped to Newbury, outsmarting the governor. How does McCleary explain the presence of small semi-inflated rubber ring? What did he say it actually contained? McCleary tells Jackson that he is suffering from hemorrhoids, that is piles, and the rubber ring found in his bag acted as a cushion and helps him when he was sitting for a long time. In reality, the ring contained pig blood that was treated properly against coagulation, which Evans would splatter on his head and escape from the prison pretending as McCleary. Now, another question that is very important is, what were the foolishness made by the prison officers? They should have taken off his bobble hat in the first place. They should have checked on the rubber ring. They should have not allowed the McCleary. Then they should have checked, is it the prison officer? Is it actually McCleary who is bleeding, or is he actually Evans? They just befooled it. Evans literally befooled them. Then they should have checked the call. Stephens could not recognize the call of the voice of governor, that it is not governor who is calling at 11:22. It was any call that was made at that point of time. Next, at the same time, the governor, after finally capturing Evans, he should have himself escorted Evans to the prison rather than leaving him with any officer. Next, they should have checked on McCleary. Just because he's having an I card doesn't mean that he is actually an invigilator. They should have checked on all the authentications of McCleary. Moreover, Stephen should not have been removed from the cell. So all these, and how come the blanket is there inside the cell? They should have removed it. Where is the blanket coming from? So Evans was playing his tricks right inside anything. Next, and one of the most important is, they should have checked the credentials of the real instructor who was coming to teach German to him. Is he actually an instructor, or is he a partner in crime with Evans? So all these were the actually blunders committed by the prison officers. I hope you understood the story. Happy learning. If you really like this video, please like, share, subscribe or comment. Thank you. Bye.